Well, hello everyone, my name is Zwigo and welcome back to another video of the How Fast Can You Beat Pokemon Platinum series. Today, we'll be taking a look at the Pokemon Shaymin. And not just normal Shaymin, I will be playing with the Shaymin Sky form. The reason why is because it is way faster and it has a lot more special attack than a normal Shaymin, so it would be more suited for a fast run like this. And I've also never ever used Shaymin Sky form, so this would be a pretty damn good video to try it out with. There are a few drawbacks to using Sky form though. That means that its defenses are a lot lower, and it also gains a 4 times Ice type weakness, a Rock type weakness, and besides that it's still weak to Fire and Flying as well. But this is all going to be worth it because we get a 120 in attack and a 127 in speed. That's a pretty weird stat. Before we get into it, let me know in the comments down below where you will think Shaymin will rank on this list of Pokemon. Would it be able to beat out Dialga, or will it just be dead last like Regigigas? Also, let's try to hit 4,000 likes for Shaymin Skyform because I feel like a lot of people forgot about this Pokemon. And with that out of the way, let's just jump right into it. I wanted to go with a regular name, so I went with Gus, even though I don't know anyone that's named Gus. And as our rival, we will be picking Fire and Ice because that's what our Shaymin is going to have to watch out for. So with the Universal Pokemon Randomizer, I changed Turtwig to Shaymin, and my rival is going to get Chimchar. As you can see, I was not able to change it into Sky form yet, but I will be able to do it after this battle. But off the bat, we can see that Shaymin only has growth. So how are we going to be able to kill anything? Does this perhaps mean that we are now soft locked? But I'll tell you a little bit about this more after the battle, which we of course lose. I then changed my Shaymin into Sky form. Look at it, I've never seen this in game because I'm pretty sure it was an exclusive event Pokemon. I have no idea if you can actually get it in any other Pokemon game up until this point, so let me know in the comments down below if you can. I name it Grassfly because I have no idea how grass starts to fly. All of a sudden, I have no idea what Shaymin even is. I know that there's a movie about Shaymin, but I have never seen it before. So here we get the Return TM, which will enable our Shaymin to actually attack other Pokemon, which is great because otherwise we would probably be stuck here. I move on to the clown portion of the game, which is by far the best portion in any video game. Prove me wrong. And then we go ahead and take revenge on our rival. And I know my Shaymin is a little bit a higher level than normal Pokemon here because normally I would be level 6, but I'm already level 9, and that is because my Shaymin has to be level 10 in order to beat the first gym on my first go, because then it learns Magical Leaf. After spamming return, it eventually does learn Magical Leaf, and we move on to Rourke. And we reach him at a time of 29 minutes, which is normal and not really anything special here. Since Shaymin is super strong and all of his Pokemon are weak to Magical Leaf and my special attack is at 120, we can easily one-shot Geodude, Onix, and Cranidos without any problems. Next we move on to the Valley Windworks with Mars, and I start off the battle by setting up a Growth because I might need that for Purugly, so I go ahead and return the Zubat twice to take it out, and then Purugly comes out. It starts off by faking me out, but luckily my Magical Leaf does more than half. It heals up with its Oranberry, but the second one is able to take it out, and we can already move on to the second gym batch with Gardenia, which we reach at a time of 1 hour and 1 minute. She of course starts off with her Turtwig, which I return a couple of times before it sets up a Reflect. After that, I decide to go for Magical Leaf. Even though it's not very effective, it does way more damage than return, so I'm gonna take out the Turtwig here. And then next up is Roserade, but I know that Magical Leaf is not going to work against it because it's 4 times resisted, so I decide to go for return once again. The Roserade was able to paralyze me and do a bunch of damage against me because my return just wouldn't take it out in 2 hits, which caused it to heal up a couple of times with super potions, but eventually we do come out on top. And last up is Cherim. It decides to go for a couple of Magical Leaves, but luckily we do resist that times 4, but it almost took us out. We were left with 9 HP before we took out the Cherim with 3 returns. We then level up and end this battle with our second gym match in hand. Next up is the battle with Saturn at the top of the Team Galactic building. She starts off with a Zubat, which we can 2-shot with return, but Skuntank is a little bit more difficult to take out. So I start off by Leech Seeding it so that every turn I will get some HP back, and then I just return away until it dies. I was just lucky that it doesn't have a strong poison type move yet. After that, we talk to this lonely old man and we decline his challenge to go underground because we're not Diglets. We talk to the absolute mad lad that is Cyrus down at Mount Coronado. net, and reached the ghost type gym leader Fantina at a time of 1 hour and 22 minutes, which is a very good time. We haven't really struggled at all, but wait until we reach the 7th gym. The battle with Fantina starts off by me going for 2 growth because I need to set up for that Miss Magius. I then go for the leech seed because I know that this Duskull is going to burn me with Will-O-Wisp, so I set up 2 more growths while getting hit with a couple of shadow sneaks, and then I lay waste to her entire team, one-shotting Duskull, Haunter, and Miss Magius, all with a single magical leaf. So with that out of the way, we can move on to the next rival battle, and his Roselia smacks us around a couple of times because it's an absolute beast and even stronger than Gardenia's Rose Raid. And besides that, Monferno could also take us out a couple of times with a few flame wheels, but on my 5th attempt I was able to beat Fire and Ice. I once again start off the battle by setting up a couple of growths, 4 of them to be exact, and then I one-shot the Staravia with Magical Leaf. Because my special attack is so high, we can also one-shot Monferno with Magical Leaf, 2-shot Roselia because it's basically a legendary at this point. We do get paralyzed, but his last Pokemon is a Buizel, which we can also take down with Magical Leaf, no more problems. While I was making my way to the next city, I decided to take on this double battle here, but Shaymin was absolutely not ready for this Drifblim's absolute strength. And of course it had to be accompanied by a Roselia. I made it past them on my 2nd try and decided to go to Maylene straight away. She of course starts off with Meditite, which always goes for Fake Out turn 1, so I set up a growth after that and kill it with Magical Leaf. Next up is Machoke, so I set up 1 more growth before we take that thing out with a Magical Leaf as well, and last up is Lucario. Even with a +2 in special attack, it still took me 3 turns to take it down with our Magical Leaves, while he was able to do a bit of damage with Metal Claw, but our Shaymin is just too strong, and we have 4 gym badges right now. Moving on to the next rival battle with Fire and Ice. Of course, like last time, the Monferno is able to smack us a couple of times with Flame Wheels. The Staravia also has no chill with Wing Attack and Quick Attack combos. And this of course wouldn't be a run if Roselia didn't give us any trouble, so that thing smacked us around a couple of times too. I think Roselia is officially my most hated Pokemon from now on because it decides to always screw me over somehow. Anyway, eventually I was able to set up a bunch of growths on Staravia because it just kept on setting up double teams, but that doesn't matter because Magical Leaf can't physically miss, so after setting up 5 growths, we take it out with a Magical Leaf. The same goes for Monferno, Roselia once again takes 2, and finally Buizel takes 1. Time to move on to Crasher Wake, and because he does have water types, this battle won't be anything special. Setting up a growth on Gyarados while also getting hit with a critical bite and a normal bite, almost taking us out because I didn't have full health going into the fight. But that didn't matter because next up is Floatzel, which is a one-shot, and finally, of course, Quagsire, 4 times weakness, down and out very quickly as well. And now we come up to the first real roadblock of the playthrough, and that is my boy Cyrus. And it's not only because of his Ice-type Sneasel with Ice Punch, which one-shots me from full health, it's also because he has a Golbat after that, and a Murkrow with Drill Peck, Poison Fang, and Air Cutter on both of those Pokemon. So sometimes the Sneasel would get a low roll on the Ice Punch, and then I would be able to get past it, but then the Golbat or Murkrow would just take me out after that, because Shaymin was not strong enough to take them down in 1 hit unless I got a critical hit. Even though Murkrow is very weak defensively, even that thing couldn't go down to a single return, so I knew I had to grind up just a little bit for this battle. So at level 45, it finally happened. I was able to one-shot the Sneasel with a critical hit return, which made the rest of the fight a lot easier. Returning the Golbat, it missed its Supersonic and another return took it out, so that's no damage taken there as well. And finally is Murkrow. Even a critical hit Drill Peck can take me out from full health, so I knew I won here with 2 more returns. We then get TTM for Surf, and we move on to Canalay City with our rival. And the Infernape, of course, was able to take me out a couple of times because I decided to go for Magical Leaf and not return. Heracross was also not easy to take down, and even Staraptor itself would not let me past it a couple of times. But it wasn't that big of a deal because on my 6th attempt I was able to beat it. Because I was able to max out my special attack by setting up 6 growths on Staraptor. I then Magical Leafed it to death, yeeted Natural Gift because that's useless, one-shot Infernape as well. Roserade took a Magical Leaf like a champ, but it just set up some Toxic Spikes, so another one took it out. And his last 2 Pokemon, Heracross and Floatzel, both went down to a single Magical Leaf as well. And with that, we can now move on to Byron, the Steel-type gym leader, which of course isn't going to be a problem, since we do reach him at a time of 3 hours and 4 minutes. And I think this might be a record time, I'm not sure though. But we were able to set up 3 magnetons on the growth. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. And then I proceeded to one-shot it, and we also obliterated Bastiodon and Steelix both with 1 magical leaf. Following up, we do all of the lake battles, and we move on to Candace straight away because the lake battles were nothing to talk about. But Glacia is, we reach her at a time of 3 hours and 45 minutes, but of course, because our team is full of ice types, we got shredded so many times. By Abomasnow's Avalanche, by Frostlass's Blizzard, by Sneasel's Ice Shard, which actually didn't do that much damage. Oh yeah, and then you had Piloswine, which just never did anything. And I had to do so much leveling because I could not defeat them at this point in time. Even if I was able to set up a couple of growths on Sneasel, Abomasnow would never go down in a single hit unless I would get a critical hit with return, which with my luck of course never happened. And I could never set up a lot of growths because the Sneasel would just go for Ice Shard and 3 of them would easily take me out. Eventually though, at level 55, I was able to beat Glacia. So that took a lot of effort, but believe it or not, there is actually a fight that is even worse than this one. So anyway, after setting up a growth on the Sneasel and then taking 2 Ice Shards to the face, I was able to take it out with a Magical Leaf. Since we outspeed Frostlass, we take that thing out with a single Magical Leaf too. And this time we did get the return critical hit on Abomasnow, taking it out in a single shot. And finally is Piloswine, which we take down with of course a Magical Leaf as well. Now we can move on to Cyrus' speech. Let's see what he has to say this week.
If you dig a 6-foot hole, how deep is that hole?
About like 20 feet.
This man is my inspiration. I would not be making videos if it wasn't for this man. Sadly enough, we do have to beat him up once again, and this time his team is a little bit more buffed up. And it's the same problem as last time where Sneasel can take me out with an Ice Punch very quickly, and then he also has Crobat and Honchkrow in the back with a bunch of very hard hitting moves like Drill Peck and Poison Fang. Even if I get to Honchkrow with full health, it is basically impossible to take it out unless I get a critical hit. And that all because he is holding a Citrus Berry. And setting up growths wouldn't help either because Crobat and Honchkrow just resist my Magical Leaves. But after a lot of attempts, I once again was able to overcome this as well. I start off by going for return on the Sneasel that doesn't quite take it out, and it hits us with a very hard hitting Ice Punch, and then next turn he heals up, but 2 more returns take it out. Next up is Crobat, and return barely does half health as it hits me with a Poison Fang, almost taking me out, leaving me with only 22 HP. Luckily another return is able to take it out, and last up is Honchkrow, and as I said before, I could only take this thing down with a critical hit return, and that's exactly what we get. So with Cyrus out of the way, we can finally set free the Lake Trio and move on to the top of Spare Pillar. Of course, here we have to start off by doing the double battle against the 2 Team Galactic admins, and I start off by setting up my Leech Seeds on their 2 Bronzors so that every turn I get some HP back and I can just easily set up my growths without actually feigning, since these Bronzors just barely do any damage. Eventually I was able to set up my 6 growths, and then I started taking down their team with Magical Leaves, even though the Golbats still wouldn't go down to a single one because they 4 times resisted, of course. Besides that, the Perugly and even the Skuntank would go down to a single Magical Leaf, no more problems, so we can move on to the Distortion World with Cyrus, and this is the fight that rivals almost one of the hardest fights I've had in this series with Heatran versus Bertha. So let's take a look at Cyrus, his team. He has a Houndoom, which I'm weak to. He has a Weavile, which I'm 4 times weak to. He has a Crobat, where I'm weak to. He has a Honchkrow, which I'm weak to. And last but not least, he has a Gyarados with Ice Fang, which is also 4 times super effective against me. So yeah, this fight really isn't in Shaymin's favor. At this level, I would have to get a critical hit on every single one of his Pokemon in order to win. So that means I would have to crit Houndoom, crit Weavile, crit Crobat, crit Honchkrow, and then I got to Gyarados one time, and I saw that my Magical Leaf didn't even do half of his health, so even a critical hit with Magical Leaf would not take down Gyarados. So there is only one thing that I could really do here, and that was go back, grind up Shaymin to level 64 so that it would learn Air Slash, and just hope to get a bunch of flinches. So that is exactly what I did. I went through the entire Distortion World once again, and reached Cyrus again at level 64. This time I could one-shot the Houndoom with Air Slash, luckily luckily. I still could not one-shot Weavile even though we're 16 levels above it, so I luckily did get a flinch on it, which took him down into air slashes after that. The next two Pokemon, Crobat and Honchkrow, did go down to single air slashes without any more problems, and finally was Gyarados. And we could take that thing down with 2 air slashes since we did get a flinch on the first one as well. Very lucky fight right here. Now it's Cyrus out of the way, we can move on to Volkner, the final gym leader of this playthrough. And because he has a Jolteon with Thunder Wave, I don't want to get paralyzed, so I go ahead and go for the air slash, flinch it, and then take it out with the Magical Leaf next turn. Next up is Luxray, and this thing has Ice Fang, which as you can see does a lot of damage. Luckily though, I can take him down with 2 Magical Leaves because the second one was a critical hit after he healed up. Now next up is Electivire, which has Fire Punch, and my return doesn't quite take it out in one hit. So he is able to hit a Fire Punch, but that doesn't take me out, and one more return finishes off Electivire. And last up is Raichu. Raichu once again does not go down with a single Magical Leaf, and it hits a Charge Beam, almost taking me out and leaving me with only 29 HP. After that, he does heal up, and I get another critical hit with Magical Leaf, finishing off Volkner. We now have 8 gym badges, but before we can get into the Pokemon League, we have to fight our rival for one last time. He starts off with Staraptor, and of course I get hit with 2 aerial aces because I miss my air slashes. Eventually I do hit one, taking out the Staraptor in one hit, but we are pretty damn hurt already. Next up is Infernape, which at this point is no problem at all, killing it with another air slash. Roserade as well. Heracross is 4 times weak to it, so we obliterate that at 2. Next one out is Floatzel, and I don't even bother going with Magical Leaf, I just kill it with an air slash as well, and then Snorlax comes out. Snorlax is specially defensive, so I went for a return, but it barely did any damage, and we got paralyzed because of a body slam, so next turn I went for the air slash, taking it out, and winning our final rival battle before we can move on to the first Elite Four member, Aaron. Now with normal Shaymin, this would be an absolute pain in the ass, but because we have the Sky Form and Air Slash in our arsenal, we can easily defeat him. One-shotting his first 2 Pokemon, Yanmega and Vespiquen with Air Slash, then Drapion comes out, who survives an Air Slash, but it is of no use because a return after that takes it out. And his last 2 Pokemon, Heracross and Scizor, both go down with Air Slashes as well, so that was Aaron. Time to move on to Bertha, which should be even easier with all of her ground types. This is going to feel so good, finally taking revenge for Heatran. Magical Leafing Wishcash, taking it out in a single hit. Obliterating Gliscor with 2 air slashes because the first one was a low roll, she healed up, and the next one took it out. And her last 3 Pokemon, Golem, Rhyperior, and Hippowdon could not stand up against my Magical Leaves, so we can now move on to Flint, which you would think is a problem because he has fire types, but you'll see soon enough that this isn't a problem either. Because air slashing away at his team is actually pretty damn effective. One-shotting Houndoom, 3-shotting Flareon because he decided to heal up, and Flareon is a pretty damn bulky Pokemon compared to Houndoom. Luckily after that, Rapidash is another one-shot. Magmortar had the opportunity to do a lot of damage, because I did miss 2 air slashes, but he also missed a couple of hyper beams, so 2 air slashes can take him down as well because the second one was a critical hit. And last but not least was Infernape, which we also take down with an air slash, of course, because of the weakness. Now it's time to move on to the final Elite Four member, Lucian, and his psychic types, but luckily his first Pokemon, Mr. Mime, who loves to set up screens, goes down to a single return, but because it's pretty damn weak. Next up is Gallade, which we of course one-shot with Air Slash. Espeon takes an Air Slash pretty well, then hitting me, then healing up, then 2 returns, boom, and it's dead. After that I can finally replace Magically for a better grass type move in Energy Ball. And then his Bronzong comes out, so I start off by going for Energy Ball, but he sets up a Calm Mind, so I set up a Growth after that. He hits me with a couple of Psychics, but a few more Energy Balls take out the Bronzong. Last and least is Alakazam, because it can't stand up to me, 1 Energy Ball, and we can move on to Cynthia. I start off the Cynthia battle by setting up 2 Growths on her first Pokemon, Spiritomb, and then proceeding to take it out with an Energy Ball, as her next Pokemon is Togekiss. Luckily, we do get a critical hit with our Air Slash, taking out the Togekiss in 1 hit. She then sends out Roserade, which we also take down with a single Air Slash. Lucario as well. Milotic can take an energy ball to the face, so we take that thing down with a single one of those. And last but not least is Garchomp, which we also take down with a single energy ball. And with that, we have completed Pokemon Platinum with only a Shaymin Sky form. But what is its final time? Let's check it out. We finished with a total time of 6 hours and 16 minutes, which places it above the god of all Pokemon, Arceus. Are you kidding me? Who would win in a fight? A bunch of flying grass or God? Well, it's clear here. But that's mostly because of the setting up I could do with Growth and the amazing 120 special attack that Shaymin works with. I'm also pretty sure that Shaymin did not get outsped by anything throughout this entire run, and I think it's definitely deserved of the 3rd place here. I think if I didn't have to grind this much, it could even top Dialga. But did you get the Shaymin placing right? Let me know in the comments down below. And the next video will be a special edition of this series, a one-time spin-off, so hopefully you will be looking forward to that. We are almost done with this series, but I don't know if I want to check out another generation with these Pokemon, or if we're just going to stay in Generation 4 and maybe do Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver next. With that out of the way, I want to thank the membership and Patreon supporters for supporting the channel. Thank you so much to everyone who is supporting me in either way possible. It really does go a long way, and if you want to sign up yourself, you can click the link in the description. You can also buy merch if you are interested in that. The link for that is also in the description. And with that out of the way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm Zwigo, and I'll see you guys next time.